Whistleblower Roger Tolses.
So what they've done is they've decided that what we want to do is have non-lethal weapons. Weapons that can be used against enemies that don't destroy physical things. In other words, not bombs, not bullets, not missiles, but some kind of electronic mind control devices such that you can get mental control over enemies without blowing up infrastructure. So what's happened is these things were supposed to be developed towards, enemies. They've decided that, in most cases, we're going to have to gain mind control over the general populations that are not warring with us. So what they've done is they put laws in place that allows the Department of Defense and the subcontractors to do mind control experiments on the general population in development of these weapons. So anybody who gets on the bad side of the government could end up being a lab guinea pig.
And how is that legal? Like, how can they use tax dollars for, that are going towards these things, and they use them to spy or harass others? How does that?
Title 50, Chapter 32, Section 1528. Check it out.
Whistleblower Brian Coffrin.
But once these people are selected, they will have the entire gang stalking / voice to skull program run against them. This is detailed in my article. But they will be organized stalk. They will have career sabotage programs run against them to ruin their job. They will have character assassinations campaigns run against them in their neighborhood. They'll be isolated from family and friends as those individuals are turned against them. And they will be isolated slowly over time using the technology itself, as many of the people freak out, understandably, when they at first don't know what it is. Oftentimes, they end up going to psychiatrists and false diagnoses of schizophrenia, manic depression, delusional, paranoid are rendered against this individual. And it turns out that that's a loophole in the law that they are using to take away people's constitutional rights, as once you are deemed mentally unfit to care for yourself, i.e. you're depressed, delusional, paranoid, etc., they use that, the states or the federal government uses that as an excuse to come in and say that they have to care for you. So I would warn all targeted individuals out there, please do not go to psychiatrists and allow them to render a diagnosis against you, because that is a dirty trick they are using to take away the rights of people all over the country.
Targeted individual Lars Drudgeard.
So they were definitely trying to, if they can't kill me, they're trying to get me committed to a hospital where they can do anything. Because if you get committed, you're stripped completely of your human rights, and you are, in Denmark, you're also deprived of any chance of getting an autopsy if you die in their care.
Oh, horrible.
Yeah. So there's no chance it would ever get out. It would be a perfect murder for the intelligence system.
Dr. John Hall.
Things that a target probably shouldn't do once they realize they're being targeted is try to convince people of your targeting that are already non-believers. The whole goal of targeting is to eventually get you in front of a psychiatrist to draw a schizophrenic or delusional diagnosis. What most of the human rights organizations are recommending now, that if you feel you're being targeted, first try to communicate to them to get pointers and advice on who you can talk to and who you shouldn't. As stated before, one of the main goals with this targeting is to get you to call the police over and over with complaints that can't be proven, which will eventually land you in front of a psychiatrist who usually won't listen to or look at any of the research or articles you bring in, but will be looking to give you a psychiatric diagnosis. Once that diagnosis is given, typically the police won't respond to any further targeting, which may escalate after you're diagnosed.
Whistleblower Brian Coffrin.
Their radio frequencies, microwave signals, the entire spectrum of radio frequencies can be used within a certain range to produce all sorts of different effects. So the way it works is a device broadcasts a radio frequency, let's say at an individual, and that radio frequency will hook up with the resonant frequency of the individual's mind or body, or in this case, DNA. And what happens is once the resonant frequency is found in the targeted individual and the broadcast frequency matches up with that resonant frequency, those two frequencies interlock, and they can be thought of as one frequency or one energy. And what happens is between the broadcast frequency and the individual that's receiving the broadcast frequency, once they are resonating together, a super highway of frequency along which information can be sent is created. And so you can think of it just like fiber optic cables that you use to send signals over the internet that connect people to the internet. It's the exact same thing, only a wireless application of that. And so once you have connected the targeted individual with the frequency and they resonate together, then you have a perfect avenue upon which to send and receive information back and forth. And that's exactly how they manipulate someone's thoughts. They send voices into someone's head. They manipulate their emotions. They manipulate their behavior. And then that's also how they receive back from the individual in real time the vital signs, the emotions, the thoughts, what the person's seeing, what the person's hearing. And then all that information, of course, is rendered on a computer elsewhere via software, and it can be monitored and tracked in real time.
If we have algorithms that stimulate the right things and give it the right data, they could reprogram you in a way without you even knowing it. We call it hallucinating, right? But these would be controlled hallucinations run by algorithms. So you think you're in control of your own will, but it's actually some evil AI or evil people controlling everything we do, and we're more like zombies, you know? Like we think we're free and we're not actually free.
It can literally stop your own thoughts from happening and replace them with other thoughts by sending thoughts to your head. And it's so sophisticated that you cannot tell where these thoughts are coming from. There's no way to discern that they are coming from somewhere other than your own mind. So you can imagine how bad this would be for people that don't even realize this technology exists. And they're having these thoughts, which they think are spontaneous, because being under the influence of this technology now, kind of having been on both sides of it, I am just amazed at the way it works. And I know that the thoughts that they beam into your head originate from the exact same place in your mind that your own natural thoughts originate from. So if I didn't know I was under the influence of this technology, then I would have no idea that anyone was influencing my thoughts at all. And that's exactly what it can be used for. It can be used to sway people in terms of their opinion, to make them go along with a certain agenda. It can be used to turn groups of people or individuals against each other for whatever purpose. And actually, this exact same technology can be used to not only influence the thoughts of someone, but also the voice box of someone. And it came to mind because you mentioned a politician. I heard that they actually used this on George Bush Jr. once, George W. Bush, when he was giving a speech because he could not remember his line.
Whistleblower Roger Tolses.
They're transmitted by a technology called biocoded directed energy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a top secret thing that was developed. And what it is they get your DNA. In other words, they pick your garbage up in front of your house one day. And inside your garbage is your DNA, most likely from the trash can in your bathroom that you dumped in your garbage. Once they have your DNA, they take the DNA and they put your DNA code in a supercomputer. And in that supercomputer, they run algorithms that biocode electromagnetic transmissions so they bioresonate with your body. Once they've done that, they can transmit that from satellites or cell towers or aircraft or any number of ways, and that signal will only affect you and nobody else. In other words, everybody standing next to you is not going to hear the content because their receiver is not tuned to that bioresonance.
There's a bioresonance to every individual, just like our fingerprint. Every person has an individual DNA, a different bioresonance. And so the original Stockland patent is on my website, where Stockland was able to go voice to skull with pulse transmissions in 92.
What is the worst case that you've ever worked on where you saw this? What exactly was it like for this person?
Most people consider themselves to be in hell, especially the ones that are getting voices that are instructing them to do things. A lot of times, most of the times, the voices are just demeaning, and they're attempting to shut the person off from their normal life flow and their normal friends and family, that kind of thing. But then the really serious cases are where the voices are instructing them to do destructive things. It can just escalate into being worse.
And what people have to realize is that these targeted individuals are basically the test stage for rolling all of this madness out to all 7 billion of us on this planet.
Like, share and subscribe to keep in touch.